Хүрэлцэн зочдтой энэ өдрийн мэндийг хүргэе. Монголын эдийн засгийн форум 2023 эхний өдрөө амжилттай үргэлжилж байна. Энэ хэсэгт хэлэлцэгдэх 2 дахь сарлбар хуралдааны сэдэв шинэ боломж, аялал жуулчлал. Хэлэлцүүлэг эхлэхээс өмнө та бүхнийг орчуулгын сувгаа тохируулсан хэсгээ дахин шалгахыг хүсье. Сувг 1 англи хэл, сувг 1 монгол хэл, сувг тэг англи хэл, сувг 2 хятад хэлээр тохируулагдсан байгаа. Ингээд хэлэлцүүлгийг модератор панелистүүдээр төв тайзан дээрээ өрье. Модератор Тэнгэр ТV-гийн гүйцэтгэх захирал Амар сайхны ундрал. Ундрал Амар сайхан CEO Тэнгэр Television. Байгаль орчин яамны төрийн нарийн бичгийн дарга Сүхбаатарын цог гэрэл. State Secretary Ministry of Environment and Tourism. Istrin Uhey, Member of Parliament, Vice President of Transport and Tourism Committee. Jackson, Founder and CEO at World Toilet Organization. Rob Bradley, Senior Vice President, Digital Revenue, Strategy and Operations of CNN. Delisha Tan, Chief Executive Officer, Edelman Hong Kong and Creative Bay Area. Ki Young Pak, Chief Executive Officer, Korean Film Council.
За сайн байцгаана уу? Та бүхэнд энэ өдрийн мэндийг хүргэе. Монголын эдийн засгийн чуулган 2023 арга хэмжээний эхний өдрийн үдээс хойших хамгийн ихний салбарын хэлцүүлэг эхлэхэд бэлэн боллоо. За маш сонирхолтой сэдвийн хүрээнд, маш сонирхолтой зочдтой бид хамтдаа энэ танхимд энэ хэлцүүлгийг өнгөрөх болсондоо их баяртай байна. Маш олон салбарын туршлагатай, өөр өнцөг, өөр өнгүүдийг бидэнтэй хуваалцаж чадах эрхэм зочид маань сая байгааг та бүхэн сонссон байх. Сингапур, Хонконг, Солонгос, Америк, Унгар, тэгээд Монгол гээд бид хоёр Монголоо төлөөлөөд ингээд энд байж байна. Байгаль орчин ажил жуулчлалын яамны сая Бат Эрдэнэ энэхүү арга хэмжээнд оролцох хуваартай байсан боловч Кыргызстан улсын ерөнхийлөгч Монгол улсанд ачиж байгаатай холбоотойгоор ингээд хүрэлцэн одоо ирэх боломжгүй болсон учраас Батулга одоо төрийн нарийн бичгийн дарга маань хүрэлцэн ирсэн байна. За өнөөдрийн бидний ярилцах сэдэв маань шинэ боломж, аялал жуулчлал. Тэгээд бид нар энэ яриагаа нийт 6 зочны маань 5 гадаад байгаа учраас англи хэл дээр эргүүлээд үлдсэн хэсгүүдийг монгол хэл дээр үргэлжлүүлээ явах учраас та бүхнийг шаардлагатай гэвэл орчуулгын төхөөрөмжөө авахыг хүсэж байна. За тэгээд миний хувьд ийм тойрог тайзан дээр анх удаага хэлцүүлэг хийх гэж байна. Нэлээд ийм сонирхолтой туршлага болох юм шиг байна. Манай сая би зочдтойгоо ч гэсэн ярилцахад айгүй сонирхолтой бид нар одоо яг яаж ярих вэ гэдэг бас гайхаад сууж байна. Та бүхний хувьд ч гэсэн баг анх удаага харж байгаа юм эсгүүдийн нэг байх гэж бодож байна. Эдийн засгийн чуулганы энэ жилийн бас сонирхолтой шин шийдлүүдийн нэг нь энэ байгаамаа. За тэгээд бүгдээрээ хэлцүүлгээ эхлүүлье. За хэлцүүлгээ би хамгийн эхлээд төрийн нэмшин дарга танаас асуухыг хүсэж байна. 2023-аас 25 оныг Монгол Улсын засгийн газар Монгол зочлох жил хэмээн зарласан. За энэ ажлын хүрээнд ч гэсэн эдийн засгийн чуулган маань яг энэ урайн дор Монгол зочлох жил Welcome to Mongolia гэсэн нэрийн дор бас явагдаж байна. Та өөрийнхөө одоо ажиллаж байгаа, удирдах байгаа байгууллага дээр юун дээр хамгийн түрүүнд анхаарлаа хандуулж ямар стратеги баримтлан яг энэ Монгол зочлох жилийн хүрээнд хийгдсэн зорилгоудаа биелүүлнэ гэж харж байгаа вэ? Та том зургаар нь ерөнхийд нь Монгол улсын яг энэ үрээтэй холбоотой алсын харааг бидэнд тайлбарлаж өгөөч.
За баярлалаа. Энэ дахин цугласан та бүхэнд болон өнөөдөр эдийн засгийн форумд хүрэлцэн ирсэн зочид төлөөлөгч та бүхэндээ энэ өдрийн мэндийг хүргье. За Монгол Улсын засгийн газраас 2023, 24, 25 оныг Монгол зочлох жил болгон зарласан байгаа. Энэ мэдээж одоо ковид цар тахлын дараах эдийн засгийн сэргэлтийг дэмжих. За тэр дундаа ковид цар тахлын улмаас хамгийн их одоо хохирсон салбар болох аялал жуулчлалын салбарыг хурдан хугацаанд сэргээх эргээд энэ аялал жуулчлалын салбарыг Монгол Улсын эдийн засгийн бас тэргүүлэх чиглэлүүдийн нэг болох ийм зорилтын хүрээнд бол бид нар Монгол Улсын засгийн газраас энэ 3 жилийг бол Монгол зочдох жил болгон зарласан байгаа. За 20 ковидын өмнөх 19 оны үед бол манай ил жуулчлалын салбар бол харьцангуй өндөр өсөлттэй байсан. За 2020 оны ковидын дараах бол ковидын үед бол манай энэ ил жуулчлалын салбар нийтдээ ил жуулчдын тоо 93 хүртэл хувиар буурч за маш их хохирлыг бол амссан. Тэгээд ковид дуусны дараа 2022 онд бол бид нарт харьцангуй хурдан сэргэж 290 мянган жуулчдыг бол Монгол улс хүлээж авсан байгаа. За энэ бол бас өмнөх ковидын өмнөх үетэй харьцуулах юм бол бас хангалтгүй үр дүн. За тийм учраас Монгол Улсын засгийн газраас 3 жилийг Монгол зочлох жил болгон зарласнаар 2023 оны эхний хагас жилийн өнөөдөр 7 дугаар сарын байдлаар бид нар 275 мянган жуулчин Монгол улсад хүлээж аваад байна. За бидний энэ жилийн зорилт бол 1 сая жуулчин хүлээж авах ийм зорилтыг бол Монгол Улсын засгийн газар өмнөө тавьсан. За энэ зорилттой хүрэхийн тулд бид нар бол бас тодорхой арга хэмжээнүүдийг авч хэрэгжүүлж байна. За хамгийн нэгдүгürt бид нар Монгол Улсын засгийн газраас санаачлан боловсруулсан аялал жуулчлалын тухай хуулийн шинжилсэн найруулгын төслийг улсын хурал 2023 оны 5 дугаар сарын 4-ний өдөр батллаа. За энэ хууль бол маш олон жилийн дараа ингэж бүтэн концепцийн шинжилтэд өөрчлөлт орж бүтнээрээ шинжилэгдэж батлагдж байгаа ийм үйл явдал. За энэ хуулийн дотор бол аялал жуулчлалын салбарыг хөгжүүлэх чиглэлээр маш олон одоо юм шин зохицуултууд бий болсон байгаа. За мөн Монгол Улсын засгийн газраас бас Монгол зочдох жилийн хүрээнд гадаадын жуулчдыг Монгол улсад олон тоогоор хүлээж авахын тулд олон тооны улсуудыг визийн шаардлагаас чөлөөлж байгаа. За 34 улсыг бол визийн шаардлагаас чөлөөлсөн. Европын холбооны 32 улс, за Австрали, Шинэ Зеланд гээд за мөн одоо 90 гаруй улсыг бол цахим визээр виз мэдүүлээд энэ улсыг иргэд бол Монгол улс руу дөрвөн шуурхай ингэж нэвтрэх ийм боломжийг бүрдүүлж байгаа.
За баярлалаа. Эргүүлээд би танаас дэлгэрүүлээд аялал жуулчлалын тухай хуультай холбоотой асуултуудыг асуух болно. My next question will be from Mr. Istvan. So how was your experience coming to Mongolia?
Then, because the first time when I was here, it was 89, when I was 14 years old, and I had a summer camp in Nairamdal. If you know Nairamdal, the famous summer camp. I was there in 1989.
It's before the democratic movement.
Yes, you know I'm from Hungary. It was in the middle of the changes in Hungary. But after that I traveled a lot to Mongolia, so I relatively know what's happened the last 20, 30 years, and it's amazing. But the question is, what's the aim of the Mongolian leaders and the Mongolian enterprises? Several times the last 20 years I asked my friends here in Mongolia, in Ulaanbaatar, why you don't want to make tourist business companies? And always the answer was, it's not interesting for Mongolia. This is not the best. It's better to be in the real estate or the mining or the banking, financial sector, but the tourism is not interesting. But believe me, I was in your position 13 years ago. I was Vice Minister responsible for tourism. And now I am the chair of the tourism lobby in the European bubble, in the European institutions. And I'm also working together with the UN World Tourism Organization. I'm Special Ambassador of the UNWTO. So I know relatively very well the tourism industry. Mongolia has a very, very huge chance to be one of the favorite tourist destination. Not for the mass, not for the 10,000s and 10,000s visitors, but for those who would like to learn this special culture, history, and this beautiful country. You have fantastic natural resources. You have a very, very unique culture, which is Asian, but not typical Asian. You are relatives to the Hungarians. Sometimes we say it at home in Hungary. So I think the government and also the business sector have to invest more to the tourism infrastructure and the tourism marketing. One interesting thing, you know very well, without connectivity, we don't have tourism. And this time, I think this is one of the biggest problems for Ulaanbaatar. And it's very, very expensive and hard to connect, to arrive to Mongolia. And it will not be better without the government. I know what's happened in Riyadh, what's happened in Dubai, in those countries where the tourism wasn't interesting 10, 20, 30 years ago. Saudi Arabia just established tourism ministry 3 years ago. Now they have a plan and they finance lots of public money to the air connectivity, to the infrastructure, to the marketing, to be everywhere. So I arrived again, and thank you so much to my good friend Gan, who invited me to be here in the forum. I arrived to push you, the government, decision makers and the private sector, to give public money and private money to the tourism, because you can have a beautiful future. And last sentence, because it's interesting. Do you know how many international tourists we had in 1950 when my father arrived to the world? It was 25 million international tourists globally, 25 million. When I was born, 75, it was 250 million. Oh, after 25 years, it's not bad. But when my first son arrived in 2000, it was 700 million. And after 2012, we got the 1 billion. And now, after the COVID, we will reach soon the 1.8 billion all over the world. It's amazing. It's a business. It's a people-to-people dialogue. The tourism is industry of the peace. So that's why you have to finance it from public. And after that, the business sector can give you back the taxes. But firstly, the government has to finance more.
Thank you for the good insight. I was about to ask the follow-up question, but
I answered it.
I asked so all of my questions.
Bayarla.
Yeah, you already become Mongolian. Yeah, and my next question will be from Rob Bradley from CNN. I think it was yesterday when I scrolled down my Twitter feed. I found out that CNN has a very, very interesting vignette about Mongolia.
Yes.
Yeah. One about the monastery, one about the Kashmir industry, one about the landscape.
Yep.
And I realized that government of Mongolia and the CNN has a really good partnership.
Yes, that's true.
And why do you think it's effective?
I mean, firstly, you're one of hundreds of millions of people that are seeing that content right now across the world on CNN platforms, on TV, on digital, and all across social. I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of a new partnership and proud to be here. So thank you for hosting us first of all. I mean, look, if you look at the media landscape today, if you take a step back, it's incredibly cluttered space. It's a very noisy environment. Social media with it has brought so much engagement throughout the world, but also many challenges around misinformation, but also just an amazing platform to reach billions of people, you know, at the click of a few fingers if you have the right budgets. The problem is with all of this scale is it's quite hard to cut through the noise. But what we do at CNN and what we're doing with Mongolia is about finding incredible stories that people will be interested in engaging around the world, and then make sure we're reaching those audiences in places where they are. Which, you know, a lot of people at CNN. We were talking about Ted Turner, our founder, earlier with the former president of Mongolia. And, you know, when he launched, it was obviously a TV channel. And a lot of people still think of us in that way. And of course, we still are. But we have nearly 200 million people coming to our website each month. We have, I think, nearly 300 million people across social now. It's an extraordinary scale, and we have to constantly innovate and disrupt ourselves when the media landscape is changing so much. So we believe we need to be where the audience is. So if you look at that from a brand or a government that's looking to get their message out, they have to take this incredible complexity, this scale, these environments. They have to kind of look at it and think, I mean, how could I solve the problem of making sure the right people see my message? And what you have at CNN is a truly global audience. You know, everyone in the world recognizes those three letters. You have trust in our content, which is vital at a time where there's so much disinformation. Trust is what drives us. But you also have people that are curious. You have people with a global mindset. You have people that are coming to CNN because they want to understand what's happening in the world. They want to learn something about what they maybe want to talk about at the dinner table. Maybe they're studying something at university. But maybe they're looking for inspiration about where they're going to travel next. And that inspiration bit is really key, and that's what we're here for. And the stories that we're working with Mongolia is really trying to uncover the essence of the country, of course, whether that's the beautiful scenery, whether it's the culture. But quite often with CNN, people are interested in the people. So we try and look at human-led stories that deliver some sort of emotion. And, you know, across the CNN platforms right now, you're seeing a lot of that coming from Mongolia, and we're incredibly proud of it.
Can you share some numbers? That how many people engaged with that content?
I don't have the report in front of me, but I can tell you that you're one of them. Yes, yeah, so 2 in this room. Has anyone else seen the campaign? Hopefully lots of people. Every single day on television, there's some content. And on digital, not only across our website, but all across social, it will be in the hundreds of millions by the time the campaign is finished. You know, because that's who we reach. And I think, you know, if you look at the question in terms of like, why would someone work with us? Ultimately, we provide a platform. And I spoke about that noise. We provide a platform that cuts through the noise. If you see it from CNN, you take notice, you'll trust it. But really, it's about trying to inspire people to come to Mongolia. And to do that, you need to get the content in front of them. You need to educate them. And Mongolia still has a job to do on that, the research we have done, and that's why we're doing it.
That's true. That's true. Hope CNN work brings lots of visitors for us. And apart from the media promotions, I think the film industry has a huge role to promote the country itself. And I think the Korea is one of the, not the one, I think Korea's best case for attracting the people all around the world to experience the Korea through the content. For me, I think when I watched Jangum, the Jangum, yeah, it's a really popular Korean TV series. I think it was 2004 or 5 it was launched, and we are still watching it. Yeah. People complain why they are not broadcasting it again and again. And we all want some kimchi jjigae and dokbogi. And I think dokbogi is the most popular street food in Mongolia, Ulaanbaatar right now, if you visit some street food. And that's how you influence the Mongolians, and not only Mongolians, I think it's all around the world. What can we learn from your success?
Well, today's topic is, tourism, how to promote tourism in Mongolia. And I was thinking about to talk about the interactions between tourism and film or TV industry. So, that there's a word called Proto effect. This Proto is a character, one of the characters in the Lord of the Rings. And since the film was released, there was more than 5.4 annual increase of tourists coming to New Zealand. and nobody has done that before. So everybody knows New Zealand because of this film, The Lord of the Rings. So sure, like you mentioned, this Korean drama, Daejanggeum, really promoted Korean cuisine, Korean food. The dishes you mentioned, like tteokbokki, nobody knew it before Daejanggeum. Yes, so that's a big effect. So it's important, but you have to think, in several ways. And I think I wanted to introduce two cases. One is Avengers 2, Age of Ultron, a Hollywood blockbuster, which was partly shot in Korea in 2014. And the other one is another TV drama, a very popular TV drama in all over the world called Winter Sonata, which was...
Yeah, my favorite, my crush is on that movie.
Which was aired in Korea in 2002 and aired in Japan in 2003. So for Avengers, Age of Ultron, Avengers 2, Age of Ultron, because it was partly shot in Korea, mostly in Seoul and outskirts, the studio, the Hollywood studio, negotiated with Korean government, actually my organization, Korean Film Council, for location incentive. So we offered them 30% of location incentive. So they got, at the end, they got $2 million in refund. And many people thought that this Hollywood, blockbuster production will boost the Korean, tourism industry and economy in many, many ways. So actually, the Korean Tourism Association estimated more than, almost 200 million, incomes when this film is released, but it didn't happen. The thing was that in the final film, there was not much Korea in the film. So not many people outside of Korea knew that this was shot in Korea. The hopeful, the expected, increase in tourism didn't happen. There was a joke that the best beneficiary of this film was this small pork restaurant whose signage was featured in the film. So of course, the business flourished for some time. But actually, the highest beneficiary of this was Marvel Studios, because they not only got a $2 million refund, the film sold more than 10 million ticket sales in the shortest time in Korean film history. So because the film was so well promoted in Korea, because every Korean knew about the film, they all rushed to see the film and to find out, how the Korea was featured in the film. Of course, they were disappointed, but anyway. So, there was the winners. The second case is Winter Sonata. It's a TV drama, and you know the story. And after the TV drama was aired in Japan in 2003, there was floods of Japanese tourists coming in to visit in Korea, to visit the locations featured in this TV drama, mainly Gangwon province. And only in 2004, there was 8 times more Japanese tourists coming to Gangwon province because of the TV drama. And sometime in 2006, I visited my high school for some reason. I was very surprised to find lots of Japanese women in my high school campus. And, obviously, my high school was
somehow featured in this TV drama, and they were visiting locations. So this is how a good film or good TV drama can affect the tourism industry in Korea and also in Mongolia.
I'll continue my curiosity from the next question, and we'll talk more about the TV series that we like. Sure. Yeah. And my next question will be from Delisha. Ms. Delisha, you are the CEO of Edelman Hong Kong.
Yes, I am, but we're actually working with an international team here in Mongolia. So we're very pleased to be able to take insights from our global team and really apply them to this great country.
Yeah, and the Prime Minister of Mongolia just launched, can I say launch?
Well, previewed.
Previewed, okay. Just previewed the national branding of Mongolia on the 7th floor of this beautiful museum. For the MEF Youth event, during the MEF Youth event, and it was Mongolia.
Yes.
Go Mongolia.
Go Mongolia,
right.
yes.
So, what was the behind the scenes that you are going with that Mongolia and always moving?
Yes.
Keyword, right?
Yes,
yeah.
Mongolia always moving. So again, building on what the gentlemen have talked about earlier, how do we build a compelling story that encapsulates this great country in a single brand line? And therefore, what we had to do was to really go through some exhaustive research to understand not only the beautiful landscapes, why the people like Ishvan keep coming back for your various vacations, but really what we wanted to understand was if we were to present a united front and to tell the world why Mongolia is different, we needed to then understand what the various triggers and motivations were. And one of the key things that struck the team, including our strategy lead, Peter, who's sitting in the audience, was the fact that Mongolia is never still. And Mongolia, especially today, as we've seen from the Economic Forum, really has the ambition to emerge. So what we wanted to do was capture that idea of the emergence of Mongolia, not only drawing on our great past and stepping out of those shadows and really looking towards the future, the opportunity, and how we can create a nation and build a nation that is motivated to move forward. We also wanted to capture that aspiration, right? On the very first listen, you'd be like, go Mongolia, isn't that what you chant when your sports team is playing? But we wanted something simple, something easy, and something when you hit an international audience, there will be that curiosity to say, why should I go Mongolia, right? Why is it always moving? And then, how can I then understand it a little better by taking a step to understand it? I think tourism, just bringing this back to tourism, from a tourism perspective, usually that's a first taste for many people. And this trip, we often hear people say that Mongolia has a magnet when it comes to people coming back. And that's because there's just so much to see in Mongolia, which is why from a branding perspective, it's not, the reindeer people. It's not the Nadam festival. It's so many different things that make up Mongolia, which is why it's important for us, from a storytelling perspective, taking a leaf out of the CNN book, to really dive deep, to understand what the ethos of the people are like, and bring that spirit to life through a very compelling branding campaign. This is why it's so essential from a tourism perspective, so that people don't just come once, but they keep getting drawn by that magnet to this wonderful city and country.
I think we have the poster, the preview.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, I have. I just sent to the screen team, if it's possible, we want to glimpse of it, we want to see the glimpse of it. Дэлгэцэн дээр би юм явуулсан байгаа. Манай багийнхан гаргаарай. So in the next round,
yes, we will.
Let's talk about later. So now we have Mr. Jackson, the founder of World Toilet Organization. And we have a branding, we have a movie, and we have a media promotion, we have an investment, and we have a law.
Yes.
But we don't have a toilet. Right?
Yes.
And I think you spent a week in Mongolia already.
Yes.
And when we look through his phone is full of hundreds of pictures of a beautiful landscape of Mongolia, but no toilet.
I also went to the G district to see the toilet.
G district, yeah. You're
And,
already Mongolian.
Yes, yes. I went there and then I met the Minister Bud Eden, and we are now going to sign an MOU to create a roadmap for solving all the sanitation problem in Cambodia, sorry, in Mongolia.
Mongolia, yeah, right. And full of clothes. Yeah, so my question is, why toilet is so important?
Yeah, so if we take the number of 1.8 billion tourists, how many days do they average travel? Yeah, 3 to 4 days. So let's say if they take 3 days, then you will have 50 million 5 billion tourists day. Each day, they have to go to the toilet between 6 to 8 times. If toilet fail, tourism fail. You cannot come back.
Everything will fail.
They will go home and tell everybody, don't go there. The toilet is horrible. And it's the end of the tourism campaign, no matter what you do. So 2 times they will do in the hotel, in the morning and in the night. And then 6 times they are doing in highway stop, restaurant, tourist attraction. And then these are their memories of your country. So surprise them. Make it clean, but make it even better than clean. Create an X factor. Maybe make your toilet very cultural. Because if you do something 6 to 8 times a day, it is culture. Yeah. You eat 3 times a day, food culture. You go to toilet 8 times a day, toilet culture. So if you were to try to capitalize on toilet as your one of your attraction, then you can beat everybody, because so far nobody has done that. Even the Japanese toilet are very clean, but they didn't make it a message. It was the tourists who tell the other people that Japanese toilets are very clean. But now you can go proactive. And I think that if we are able to create a good toilet environment, you also have saved the pollution of the water and the ground, soil pollution, and then the quality of life of people are upgraded. You know, when we have the 2004 or 2008, there's the Beijing Olympic. Beijing wants to make the Olympic the biggest event ever for advertising tourism in China. So they got the best director, Zhang Yimou, and all these big guys. They have no problem designing the best show, but they are worried that the toilet might fail them. So they hosted our World Toilet Summit 4 years before, 2004. And together, we renovated 6,000 public toilet blocks in tourism site in Hutongs, in the back street of China. And the toilet culture during that time was very, very bad. The people were behaving very badly. So we say, what shall we do? We keep on developing it, and some people will steal the wash basin and steal the toilet and the tap. We keep replacing it until the thief, they all have toilet in their house. Then there's no more thief anymore. So, you know, culture you can change. And today, if you go to all the tourism toilet in China, every single one is clean. It's amazing, you know, you can change culture. You just have to invest. And in India, Prime Minister Modi worked with us to build 110 million toilets. Can you imagine this number? 110 million toilets they built for all of India. So we bring in the Bollywood movie star. Amitabh Bachchan, Salman Khan, Vidya Balan, Akshay Kumar even make movies about toilets. And it became a blockbuster, Toilet, A Love Story. It's a blockbuster in India and a blockbuster in China. The same movie with a Chinese subtitle became, Chinese people went crazy about watching toilet movie in India. Then they created another movie called Pet Man. It's about menstruation. You know, we break taboo with movies, and this can be done, and I would really love to work with you or anybody on a toilet movie. Thank you.
Wow. Oh, I'm still wondering what is the toilet love story. Yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. За би дараагийн асуултыг зогтгорлооргаас асуухыг хүсэж байна. Магадгүй бидний сүүлийн тойрог баг. Яг тэгэхээр бид нар бас нэлээд удаан ярилцаад цаг маань ч гэсэн нэлээд баг болж байгаа юм байна. Та бас аялал жуулчлалын хуулийн төлөвлөлд дурдсан. Гэхдээ бас энэ дээр бид бүгдээрээ сая өөрсдийн чиглэлүүд дээр хөрөнгө оруулалтууд хийх шаардлагатай байгаа, хөрөнгө оруулалтыг татах хэрэгцээтэй байгаа гэдгийг онцолж байна. Тэгвэл Монгол улс яг энэ аялал жуулчлалынхаа салбартаа энэ чиглэлдээ хөрөнгө оруулалт татахад ялангуяа гадаад орчноос хөрөнгө оруулалт татахад бэлэн байгаа юу? Энэ дээр бас юу өөрчлөгдсөн бэ? Юу биднэрт итгэл найдвар өгч байгаа юм бэ? Юу биднийг аялал жуулчлалаараа амжилт олно гэдэг тэр итгэл үнэмшлийг бадрааж байгаа юм бэ гэдэг асуултыг танаас асуухыг хүсэж байна.
За баярлалаа. Тэгээд панелууд 1-2-3 минутанд багтааж хариулаарай гэсэн. Эхний асуултанд маш товчхон хариулсан. Гэтэл манай бус панелууд манай хичээлүүдэд хариулж байна. Монгол улсын аялал жуулчлалын хууль эрх зүйн орчин шинжлэгдсэн гэдгийг бол би түрүү хэлсэн. Энэ хууль бол 23 жилийн дараа Монгол улсын аялал жуулчлалын салбарынхаа хууль эрх зүйн орчныг шинжилж байгаа. Тэгээд тэрүүгээр их онцлог. Тэгээд Монгол зочлох жилийн эхний жилд нь бид нар бол энэ хуулийг шинжилж баталж чадсан. За энэ хуулийг бол яг зөв хууль боловсруулаад батлагдах процессыг цугцаан дурдах юм бол энэ хуулийг бол ер нь салбарын оролцогч нар буюу аялал жуулчлалын салбарт үйл ажиллагаа явуулж байгаа бизнес эрхлэгч нар өөрсдөө гар бие оролцоод одоо хийсэн хууль, боловсруулсан хууль. Өөрөөр хэлэх юм бол яг бодит амьдрал дээр юу болдгоо, ямар хэрэгцээ шаардлага байдгүй, хууль эрх зүйн орчноор юуг зохицуулж өгөө зүгээр өнө гэдгийг одоо аялал жуулчлалын салбарт оролцогч нар маань өөрсдөө одоо хуулийн дээр бүрэн ажлын хэсгээр бол суугаад үг өгүүлбэрээс нэхлүүдэд бичээд ингээд явсан хууль сая 5 сарын 4-ний өдөр улсын хуулиар батлагдсан. Энүүгээр их бас онцлогтой хууль. За хөрөнгө оруулалтын талаар асуулаа. Тэгээд аялал жуулчлалын тухай хуулинд орсон нэг том зарчмын шинжтэй өөрчлөлтүүд Монгол улс ямар аялал жуулчлалын одоо онцлогтой юм бэ? Юун дээр тулгуурласан онцлогтой аялал жуулчлал хөгжүүлэх ёстой юм бэ гэдгээ бас бид нар тодорхойлсон байгаа. За энэ бол мэдээж нэгдүгээрт Монгол одоо соёл, зан заншил, ах уй. Хоёрдугаарт нь одоо энэ байгалийн одоо үсгэлэнт байдал. Энэ дээр тулгуурласан аялал жуулчлал бол хамгийн сайн Монгол улсад хөгжих юм байна гэдэг ийм одоо дүгнэлтэнд хүрсэн. Тэр утгаараа Монгол улсын аялал жуулчлалын тухай хуулийн шинжилсэн найруулгад бол Монгол улс улсын болон орон нутгийн аялал жуулчлалын бүсүүдтэй байна гэдэг ийм зохицуултыг оруулж өгсөн байгаа. Өөрөөр хэлэх юм бол одоо Монгол улс нэг аялал жуулчлалын нэг одоо байгалийн үсгэлэнт газраа Монгол улсын одоо байгалийн одоо аялал жуулчлалын бүсээ гэдэг ингээд зарлана. За энэ аялал жуулчлалын бүсийн хил заагийг бол засгийн газраас тогтоож өгөөд энэ одоо аялал жуулчлалын бүсдэр тодорхой одоо өндөр хэмжээний стандартууд мөрдөгддөг. За энэ стандартуудыг заавал дагаж мөрддөг ийм байх одоо зохицуултыг хуулинд оруулж өгч байгаа. Энэ ямар ач холбогдолтой вэ гэвэл тэр аялал жуулчлалын бүс рүү одоо томоохон хөрөнгө оруулалтуудыг оруулах ийм боломжийг бүрдүүлж өгч байгаа. Өөрөөр хэлэх юм бол тэр аялал жуулчлалын бүс рүү одоо дэлхийн өндөр зэрэглэлийн зочд буудал ресортууд ирээд хөрөнгө оруулалтаа хийхэд эргээгээд тэр хөрөнгө оруулалтыг оруулагчийн хөрөнгөийг одоо хөрөнгө оруулалтанд баталгаа гаргаж өгөх те хөрөнгө оруулалтыг хамгаалах, үн цэнийг хамгаалах энэ боломжийг нь бий болгож өгч байгаа. Энэ утгаараа энэ одоо хөрөнгө оруулалтыг дэмжсэн хамгийн сайн зохицуулт энэ дээр одоо аялал жуулчлалын хуулинд оруулж өгсөн. За дараагийн ээлжинд бол орон нутгийн аялал жуулчлалын бүс гэж би болохоор хуулийн зохицуулт оруулж өгсөн ба өөрөөр хэлэх юм бол одоо манай 21 аймгийн аль нэг аймаг нь энэ бол манай орон нутгийн түүх, соёл, байгалийн үзэсгэлэнт газар юм а гэдэг байдлаа тодорхойлоод энэ дээрээ бас тодорхой хэмжээний стандартуудыг мөрдүүлээд хөрөнгө оруулагч нарыг татаад хөрөнгө оруулалтыг хамгаалаад явах юм боломжтой болсон. Тэгэхээр хөрөнгө оруулагчдын хувьд хамгийн чухал зүйл нь бол мэдээж хөрөнгө оруулахад эргээд хөрөнгө оруулалтынхаа үн цэнийг хүртэх ямар баталгаа байна вэ гэдэг дээр хамгийн их анхаардаг учраас өнөөдөр энэ аялал жуулчлалын хуулийн шинжилснээр бол төсөлд бол энэ хөрөнгө оруулалтын асуудлыг бол нэлээд сайн тусгаж өгсөн байгаа. За нэгд хууль ярьсных бас хуулийн зарим зүйл онцлог зохицуултуудаа бас яриад явсан зөв баг гэж бодож байна. Аялал жуулчлалын тухай хуулийн шинжилсэн аргын төсөлд орсон бас нэг хамгийн том зохицуулт нь бол аялал жуулчлалын салбар бол төрөөс хамааралгүйгээр хөгжих ёстой салбар юм а гэдэг хуулийн үзэл баримтлалыг бий болгоод энэ хуулийн төсөлд энэ салбарт үйл ажиллагаа явуулж байгаа аж ахуйн нэгжүүдийн одоо тур оператор, аялын агент, хөтөч тайлбарлагч гэдэг юм эднээс бүрдсэн одоо салбар өөрөөгөө удирддаг юм нийтийн эрх зүйн хуулийн этгээд байх юм а гэдэг энэ зохицуултыг оруулж өгсөн байгаа. Энэ хуулийн этгээд яах вэ гэхээр зэрэг одоо бид нар энэ хуулийн батлагдсанаас хойш 90 хоногийн дотор манай яам энэ байгууллагыг үүсгэх байгууллага хурлыг хийж өгөх ёстой. Энэ хурлыг хийж өгөөд тэргүүлэгч нарээ, ерөнхийлөгч нараа удирдах зөвлөлтөө сонгоод энэ байгууллага байгуулагдсанараа салбараа цаашаа өөрсдөө удирдах явна. Өөрөөр хэлэх юм бол төрийн оролцоогүйгээр салбар өөрөөгөө цэвэр удирдах явна гэсэн энэ үзэл санааг бол хуулинд оруулж өгөө зохицуултыг бий болгочихсон. Альч бизнесийн салбарт бол төр бол аль болох бага оролцоод дүрмийн тодорхой болгож өгөөд бизнесүүд өөрсдөө тэр салбараа хөгжүүлээд явах нь бол зах зээлийн зарчим учраас энэ зарчим руу энэ зах зээлээ бол бизнесийн одоо аялал жуулчлалын салбар бол оруулж өгч байгаа ийм зохицуулт болсон. Дээрээс нь нэмээд хэлэхэд ер нь бол дэлхий дээр байгаа аялал жуулчд бол аль нэг газар руу аль нэг улс руу одоо аялахад хэдхэн зүйлийг л айгүй онцолдог юм байлээ. Тэрний хамгийн нэгдүгээрт нь тэр улс хэр аюулгүй улс вэ гэдгийг их тодорхойлдог. Би тэр улс руу аялаад очиход жуулчны аюулгүй байдал хэр хангагдсан бэ гэдгийг бас их анхаарч үздэг юм байлээ. Тэгэхээр шинэ хуулинд бол бид нар бас жуулчны аюулгүй байдал гэдэг энэ онцлогийг бас нэлээд сайн тусгаж өгсөн зохицуултыг жуулчин ирээд энэ Монгол улсад ирээд аюулгүй аялаад жуулчлаад Монгол улсын түүх, соёл, зан заншил, байгалийн үзэсгэлэнт байдалтай танилцаад буцаад аюулгүй буцах энэ боломжийг нь бүгдүүлж өгөхийн тулд төрийн байгууллагууд ямар оролцоотой байхын, энэ салбарт үйл ажиллагаа явуулж байгаа аж ахуйн нэгж бизнес эрхлэгч нар ямар оролцоотой, ямар үүрэгтэй байх юм бэ гэдгийг хуулинд нэлээд сайн тусгаж өгснөөрөө бас онцлогтой. За эцэст нь дахиад нэг юм хэлэхэд би түрүү хэлсэн Монгол улс бол зан заншил, нүүдэлчин ах уй, соёл энэгээр бол гадаадын жуулчдыг их татдаг юм байна гэдэг. Монголд ирж байгаа жуулчид одоо яг Монголын одоо нүүдэлчин ах уй зан заншлыг үзэх сонирхолтой байдаг. Тэр утгаараа аялал жуулчлалын тухай хуулинд нутгийн иргэдэд түшгэлсэн аялал жуулчлал гэдэг энэ нэг бүлэг оруулж өгсөн байгаа. Тэр нь ямар утгатай вэ гэхээр яг одоо тухайн нутгийн иргэн өөрийнхөө амьдарч байгаа газар орон нутагтаа жуулчдыг хүлээж авах тэр боломжийг нь бүрдүүлж өгсөн. Заавал тусгай зөвшөөрөл шаарддаг байхгүй, заавал өндөр стандарт зочид буудал шаарддаг байхгүйгээр яг Монгол гэрээ бариад яг малчин ах уй ямар байдгийг бэ гэдгээ харуулах тэр боломжийг нь яг тэр өөрийнх нь хот гэрийн орчинд бүрдүүлж өгөх ийм эрх зүйн орчныг бүрдүүлээд өгсөн. Одоо энэ хууль хэрэгжээд ингээд яг нийт эрх зүйн хууль этгээд нь байгуулагдаад аялал жуулчлалын салбар руу яг энэ хууль эрх зүйн орчныг хүлээж аваад ингээд жигдрээд ирэхээр зэрэг малчид маань одоо яг өөрийнхөө амьдарч байгаа хэсэг дээр жуулчид хүлээж авах тийм Монгол гэрүүдийг сайхан бэлтгээд яг өөрийнхөө Монгол нүүдэлчин ах уй гэж юу байдгийг бэ? Өглөө ургах нараас ахуулаад оройд нар жаргах хүртэл малчин айлын амьдрал яаж өрнөдгийм бэ гэдгээ жуулчдад яг ингээд харуулах энэ боломжийг энэ хууль эрх зүйн орчноор бас бүрдүүлж өгсөн байгаа.
За баярлалаа. Гэхдээ жорлонгоо барих бол мартахгүй шүү дээ. Бүх юмаа хувийн хвшилт өгөхгүй дэрөөгүй. Хувьс малчтаа өгөхгүй байх шиг санагдаад жорлонгоо барих битгий мартаарай гэж Since you are the member of the European Parliament, I think I have to ask about how the Mongolia and the EU can collaborate on the tourism industry. What role do you envision for the European Union to supporting the tourism industry in Mongolia, especially I think in infrastructure and investment?
Perfect question, because I just mentioned to the speaker of the Mongolian parliament that for me is strange, because I think the European Union and the European enterprises, investment companies, we don't have enough knowledge about Mongolia, and we don't have enough interest. I don't know why. In geopolitical situation, we can look around, you know, what is happening in Russia, what is happening between China and the States, China and the EU. Mongolia is very, very important for the European Union. So somehow we have to strengthen our relations. That's why, again, I repeat it, it's not enough to have one Lufthansa direct flight from Frankfurt to Ulaanbaatar. I had to go to Beijing, but the other chance was to go to Seoul and Hong Kong and in Istanbul. Come on. One example, in 2010, it means 13 years ago, the European Union and Mongolia started the negotiations to write an agreement, framework agreement between Mongolia and the EU. We needed 7 years to sign it. Why? I am a political decision maker. I can make an answer because it wasn't interesting for anybody. Also not for Ulaanbaatar, because I don't remember any kinds of letters or ambassador meetings in Brussels where they pushed me to ask me, they asked me to push the Parliament and the European Commission to do it better. So my answer, yes, that's why, for example, I'm here. I really would like to mobilize the Brussels lobby organizations, think tanks, advisory companies to be here. I know there are several companies and advisory companies from the States. We have some companies from France. Of course, several Chinese companies and Korean companies and Japanese companies. But I would like to tell you, if the government is open to do it, then we will try. I will try to mobilize biggest lobby in Brussels to go to Ulaanbaatar. And of course, when we are talking about tourism, you have to understand that the tourism is also the MICE tourism. The tourism also the business people traveling. It's also the movie industry. In Hungary, we have 40,000 international travelers per year or more because of the movie industry. Budapest is one of the capital this time for the movie shooting industry. It's also very good. So everything is good for the tourism when people would like to visit you and to do something here. And my last sentence, if you will have a stronger tourism industry, it means you will need lots of skilled people. And all over the world, when we are talking about the tourism business, this is the biggest challenge now. In the European Union, in China, in the States, everywhere, we don't have enough good workers. So it would be very, very useful to establish soon, as soon as possible, one very good international related tourism school education system in Ulaanbaatar, because it will be very, very useful in the future.
Great. I was hoping you're going to make some commitment. Are you? You have the commitment? Okay, next round then. Yeah. 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 Back to the CNN talk.
Yes.
You're the senior vice president of CNN International Commercial, right?
Yes, yeah, on the commercial
And,
side. Yeah.
So it means you're an expert on how the media works.
I try to be.
And which is so confusing, for, I think, everyone. And yeah, especially for the tourism industry, I think competition between the countries is huge. I think it's fierce competition. There's everyone. I think every country wants to attract tourists, especially since the COVID.
Absolutely, yeah.
And how can Mongolia stand out between that war of?
I mean, firstly, it has to be present in people's minds, right? You have to be out there, and that's why the campaign that we're working now is about. You have to educate people. You have to allow them to understand what they can experience when they're here, what they will learn, because people are excited about the new. And if you consider Mongolia as a destination that would be new for a number of people, including myself, this is the first time I've been here, 24 hours, and I'm already sold. The magnet's going to get me. Go Mongolia, I like it. But you know, it is, it's competitive. Of course it is. But you have to be out there first and foremost, telling your story. And you know, if you look at some of the trends though, and what the world is really interesting now, aligning with some of those trends is wise as well. I mean, if you think of something the pandemic really sped up was really around purpose and sustainability. You know, people are aligning what they buy, who they support politically, and where they travel with their own values. And tomorrow I'm doing a keynote presentation at the youth part of the conference, and a lot of it is around the global conversation now, navigating the media landscape. And really at the heart of the global conversation is sustainability. It is, you know, the number one thing that our audiences are engaging with, certainly in terms of volumes of content that we create as well, and all of the many facets that sit under that. But what they really want to know is that a government organization, a brand, you know, they're being genuine and authentic in what their purpose is in solving one of the great challenges we have in the world today. So when you look at tourism today, you need to be out there with a message that also aligns with sustainability, ecotourism. Make sure that you're really out there giving an authentic story, something you're really doing to help solve these problems. And of course, there are great efforts that the government of Mongolia is doing right now that you will see across the content that we are making and the campaign. So I think that's one way to make sure you're aligning with the travelers of today. But also, you know, CNN is really about telling stories around people, and I touched on that earlier. We know that people and culture and all the things attached to that, food, and here the culture. I mean, I'm only learning about it still, of course, and after this week, I'm lucky enough to see Nadam Festival. I'm incredibly excited. But telling stories through a human lens is really what our audiences love. Telling stories that really engage them and offer some sort of emotional connection to drive a spark to want to visit there. So that's really how a government organisation or brand can stand out, is really trying to make a connection with someone by delivering some sort of emotional message.
You said you sold salt in 24 hours.
Yes.
How come?
The people.
People.
Every single person I've met. Yes, you. Including you. Straight away, I felt welcomed within the first minute of being here. And the people along the way have been interested in what we do. I've been interested back. You know, it felt very welcome. I've had some great food already. And it's been about that experience, because I think that's ultimately what we care about in life, is the people. The scenery and everything, of course, counts. But normally if you're watching, I always think if you're watching a sunset with someone else, it feels sometimes more magical than if you're watching it alone.
I know that. Great to hear it. Thank you. About that Korean movie. I'm kidding. Yeah, we talked about TV series and kimchi jjigae.
Yep.
And now we have to talk about Big Bang and BTS.
Sure.
But it's all about Korean wave.
Yep.
You know? And how can Mongolia create our own Mongolian wave? What do you think the key elements?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think
what is missing?
Yes. Well, as I explained, earlier, I think the best way is to produce a global hit film or TV drama, because everything in a film or TV drama, it's all Mongolian. You know, Mongolian way of life, food, fashion, landscape, culture, history, everything is in a single film or a TV drama. So producing this content is very important. But in order to produce, global hit film or TV drama, you have to have several aspects for that. And one thing is people, talent. You need new talents because film or TV drama is made by film. It's not made by AI or machines. It's made by creative people. So you need to foster new talents. In order to foster new talent, you need to have a very good educational and training system, like what you said about the tourism school. And secondly, you need to have a good production subsidy system, so that anybody in Mongolia, talented Mongolian, can easily make a film or TV drama, and also promote his work internationally. That's also very important. And thirdly, it's of course you need to have the infrastructure, studios. You need advanced studios, post-production facilities, and of course equipment, gears for making films or TV dramas. But this takes time, and my friends at the Mongolian National Film Council are working very hard to rebuild the Mongolian film industry. I was told that Mongolian film industry almost also ended after the collapse of Soviet Union, because everything in Mongolian cinema was all Soviet influence. And as soon as the Soviet Union collapsed, the film industry also collapsed. And it stayed there. It stayed like that for several years, and now they are trying very hard to rebuild it. And I support them. I support them, very strongly. And I think the most important thing is the Mongolian government supports strongly. Then you have a very good chance to start, a Mongolian wave.
Great. We have some representatives from the Ministry of Culture, and I think they will take a note, right?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. So about Mongolia, I think we already prepared some of the that we just
Yeah, so very quickly, literally hot off the press.
Yeah.
We met with PM today, and we shared a number of options with him. Very honestly, there were 30 options, and then when we met with the Minister of Culture, we were able to bring them down to 6. And from 6, we were able to narrow them down to 3. And then today, while meeting with Prime Minister, we got closer to the brand line for Mongolia, which will be Go Mongolia. Right now, you see a subsidiary strap line, Mongolia always moving. For us, I won't do the manifesto justice at this point, but I think really this brand hopes to capture the ambition of the people, which is why when we talk about tourism, the public-private partnership is so important, right? The government can't do it alone. It is the people that bring the brand to life. I'm just talking about brands a little bit and building on this. I had the great honor of working on Passion Made Possible, which was the Singapore national brand and the tourism iteration of that as well. So for us, having a brand like this gives us a platform to tell those stories, gives us a platform to tell the filmmakers of Mongolia, Go Mongolia, and it then is something that we can use as a rallying cry and a point from which we can build a robust campaign. The reason why you would have a brand strapline, people are like, oh, there's so much advertising, there's so many brands out there, why is this necessary? Well, there are usually 3 reasons from a tourism perspective why you embark on a branding campaign. The first of which is to really shout about your natural attributes. If you think about 100% pure New Zealand, that's been around since I was yay high, right? So that's a campaign that really talks about the fundamentals of the destination. And then if you look at Passion Made Possible, it's about changing perceptions of Singapore. We're so known as box standard, boring in a box Singaporeans, right? To have that idea of passion and possibilities, right? So that idea of like really bringing that to life. And again, you know, if we look at something aspirational, I think Ishvan talked about Riyadh earlier. And one of the other brands that we see is Neom, which is the new Saudi Arabian eco-city of the future. That's an aspirational brand. So for us, we wanted to bring all these three elements, again, celebrating the traditional elements of Mongolia, looking forward to the future, capturing the energy of the youth. I love the fact that this is Gen Z nation. We heard today 65% of the population is under 40, or 40 and under. Yeah, and our Gen Zs are actually all 39. So, you know, when we talk about engaging with Generation Z, this is Gen Z nation, right? So if you think about it from a brand perspective, it then gives us a great opportunity to bring all the cultures together. The best bit about Mongolia is that it's not flat. Landscape-wise, or even from a people perspective, the different tribes, the different cultures, all mixed into one. So again, we're hoping that this will be a rallying cry, and we're hoping to partner with, like our good friends at CNN as well, to really take it to that next level, where we flesh it out 8 times a day or more, to really then showcase who we are as a people with something that people can talk about. So really creating that point of conversation. And again, you know, hopefully for a lot of us, it won't be the first time, and that magnet will keep pulling us back to always move forward with Mongolia as well.
That's a manifesto, I think.
Indeed.
You said you want to touch upon the manifesto, but you already said manifesto.
I think there will be more to come. I must say this is a work in progress, so very early days, but I do hope that this captures the ambition of the people and then the ambition of the business as well. From a tourism perspective, I believe it's easy enough, catchy enough to catch the attention, and then we can take it forward with great storytelling as well.
Yeah, I think our audience will love it, right?
Looking forward to your feedback after the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's Mongolia. So again, we looked at 2 ways of doing it. So being refined at the moment, so it's Go Mongolia, but we also noticed that the Go was in the very heart of Mongolia. So therefore, just from a graphical perspective, we looked at this. Actually, the font also draws from the Soyombo. That is so anyway, when we have the chance, but the various elements from the font, including that kind of fiery symbol, comes from the various elements as well. So again, more to come, just a preview today as well.
Wow, that's a...
Right now, we actually do. So again, we've prepared for all of these things already.
it's almost a branding masterclass.
Yes.
No. Yeah. Anyway, good job. Thank you.
Thank you. And we look forward to continuing to build this brand with you, because a brand is nothing without the people and the industry. Again, having pushed Passion Made Possible to the forefront, especially during COVID, it was what we used to rally the community together. And hopefully this will be the push, you know, moving on from welcome to Mongolia, really making sure we're always on the move and going with Mongolia as well.
And we are nomadic people.
Yes,
Always
indeed.
moving.
Indeed,
Yeah.
always
Thank
moving.
you.
Thank you.
About the toilet, again.
Yeah.
They love different appetites. And I think you spent several days in Mongolia, and I think you already noticed some of the specific challenges and struggles that we have. And we have a really unique toilet, but it's not so attractive. And for your roadmap with the Ministry of Environment and Tourism, what was your main concern? The most challenging aspect?
So this is the 63rd country I have visited, and it's the first time I have been here. I spent around 9 days now, and I fell in love with this country. So there's something magical about this country. You must know you have a strength that is natural. First, the feeling, and then you want to ask yourself, why is it you're feeling so nice? So I wrote on my Facebook, before I knew your tagline, I wrote nature, culture, adventure. So I created a tagline, and I tell everybody, plan your next trip to Cambodia, to Mongolia. What happened to my head? So I told them, but now I talk about toilet. Toilet is a very deep subject. It's very deep. You never think about it. That now I tell you a little bit, and then you suddenly realize there's so much to do. The visitor can be an old person. He needs certain type of support in the toilet. The older he is, the more often he go to the toilet. He can be a mother with a baby. It can be a toddler. It can be a female, a male, and all the in-between. So you have to consider all the different culture. It can be somebody who is used to squatting, and somebody who is used to sitting, somebody who is wiping, and somebody who is washing. So the washer and the wipers, they all need to be facilitated. And then a lot of design are not human-centric. They're just like standard and everybody use it. Even the lighting, you cannot have the light behind and you can't see your hand and there's a shadow. You need ventilation, and then you have winter, summer, spring. You have to think of all these things. And I think if you want to design very, very good toilet, you have to think about the toilet in a petrol kiosk when they're pumping petrol, and the toilet in a shopping center, and the toilet in a hotel, the toilet in a tourism site. They are all different. Whether a toilet in a school or a toilet in a convention hall, or tonight we are going to watch that musical performance, you will find that if there's an interval, suddenly there's not enough toilet and everyone is queuing up, and then they're rushing to the part 2 of the show. So one of the big mistakes people designing toilet wrongly is that they design the male and female toilet same size. So the female don't have urinal. So in the male, you can put a lot of urinal. In the female, you need cubicle. So I changed the law in Singapore and China in 2005, where ladies' toilet have to be much bigger because we must put cubicle in the toilet. For the female, if you have 1 urinal, you give them 1 cubicle. If they have 1 cubicle, you also give them 1 cubicle. So this is called potty parity. We must liberate the women's toilet so that there is no queuing up, and we can do it in Cambodia. Mongolia.
Yeah, that's a good starting point. Yeah,
3 times mistake.
Yeah, 4 times. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And I'm really glad that the Ministry of Environment and Tourism and your organization, I think Mongolia has even already have a Mongolian toilet organization, right?
They just started in April, and we will work with them. Mongolia Toilet Organization.
Yeah.
Yes.
We already have that, and we are moving forward. Yes, we are. Yeah. And thank you for all the panelists. I think you finished, right? Yeah. Sorry about that.
I'm always the last one.
Yeah. And really insightful conversation we had, and that's quite the stories and toilet branding, and we have a new branding, and we are really lucky. I think we are the first 100 people who seen this branding work, and I think some of the people are furious about that preview, and I hope they won't get angry. And we even had some conversation about Winter Sonata and Dejengum, which is so weird on the stage of Mongolian Economic Forum, even any economic forum, I think. And CNN, it's the secret of promoting the countries around the world through the huge media power, and hope Mongolia can get some benefits from its strategic partnership. And commitment from the commitment, right? You already committed to invest in Mongolia. Yeah, that's the starting point. Yeah, and we have a commitment, and we have new law on the tourism, which will allow the foreign investors and the many different stakeholders to openly operate and doing their business in the tourism industry. And and thank you for a really insightful conversation. And if I had a time, I can talk to you about the toilet, Mongolian toilet, about 2 hours. We need 2 hours. And бүгдэнд нь маш их баярлалаа. Монголын эдийн засгийн чуулганы эхний өдрийн үдээс хойш хамгийн ихний салбар хэлэлцүүлэг маань шинэ боломж аялал жуулчлал гэсэн сэдвийн хүрээнд явагдлаа. Гэтэ чуулган маань дөнгөж талдаа орж ийн. Бид нар маш олон сонирхолтой шинэ мэдээллүүдийг олон оролцогч талуудаас сонссоор байгаа. Дөнгөж саяхан бас шинэ мессеж ирлээ. Эдийн засгийн чуулганы эхний өдрийн эхний хэсэг дээр Монгол Улсын засгийн газар сахим хөгжил харилцаа холбооны яам Starlink компанитай хамтарсан гэрээгээ зарлаж бас мэдээллийн технологи харилцаа холбооны салбарт дэвшил авчрах томоохон бас зарлалаа танилцуулсан байна. За үүнээс гадна бас та бүхэн бусад хэлэлцүүлгүүд олон зэрэг явагдаж байгаа соёлын арга хэмжээнүүдэд оролцож Монголын эдийн засаг, Монголын нийгэм, Монголын залуучуудын өсөл мөрөөдлийн талаар сонсноо гэдэгт бол итгэлтэй байна. And the last one, I hope you will all come back to Mongolia and next year, I think, right? Right, Mr. Pak? You will come again, right? Yeah. And lastly, welcome to Mongolia. Thank you.
Баярлалаа. Шинэ боломж аялал жуулчлал сэдвээр үргэлжлэн энэхүү хэлэлцүүлэгт оролцсон нийт панелистуудтай эдийн засгийн хөгжлийн яамны зүгээс болон Монголын эдийн засгийн чуулганы зүгээс дурсгалаар дурсгалын бэлгийг ардуулъя. Хүлцэн ирсэн нийт зочид төлөөлөгчид татагтанараа үргэлжлүүлээд Монголын эдийн засгийн чуулган хүрнэ. За маргааш мөн та бүхнийг яг Чингис хаан музейн 9 давхрын энэ танхимд мөн 2 хэлэлцүүлэг хүлээж байгаа. Хэлэлцүүлгүүд маш өр өгөөжтэй, үр дүнтэй болж байгаа гэдэгт итгэлтэй байна. Ингээд эргээд олзъя.
хоёр нэг хоёр нэг хоёр нэг хоёр нэг хоёр нэг болно уу нэг хоёр нэг хоёр нэг хоёр нэг хоёр нэг хоёр нэг дээр байхгүй юм нэг хоёр нэг нэг хоёр 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 нэг хоёр
нэг хоёр нэг 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 хоёр нэг хоёр нэг хоёр би чи жоохон чих хатуу шүү тэгээ чих зүгээрээ бүр нэг хоёр юм асуусан саа хараад ахаар нь гарлаа ш нэг хоёроо за болоо яасан ш тэгж хинээ нөгөө хөрөн гаруул нээсэн гаднаас гарч ирэх таатай. Жон за дээрсэн аа. нэг хоёр нэг хоёр нэг хоёр байна 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 аха над руу залгаараа нэг нь яагаад юу юу вэ бид нар ингээд нэг хэсэг гэрэл мэлээ барьсан зогсчих. За тэгвэл би одоо ажил очих юм уу? Ийм дагаа хүмүүсээс бодоо гэж байлаа гэсэн. Юу манайхан гарцгаа гэж. Бүр болчлоо гин. Цаг ярих юм аа. Тасахай. Доктор дараас очсон. Маргааш та хэдээс ирэх юм байраа хаа? 9-ээс ирэх үү? Би тэгэл бас 8. Болчлоо гинэ.
Сэтг яа 6-аас иж байгаа гин
хоёр очих хэвээр би очихгүй. Очих штэ. Хоёр очихгүй би яагаад. Шаат. Тэр очихгүй штэ. Гүрэх очоо. Хоёр бэрээ ичүү. Гүрэх би очихгүй штэ. Ороолоо авцсан гадаад чи маргааш л уулзсан. Одоо уулзч яа. Энэ карт яасан? Карт өгж явуулсан. Аль карт? Тэнд байгаа Кеннеди карт өгч явуулсан. Яриадсан юм уу?